What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Happy Thursday. I'm Hayley Lewis, and this is Chiefs News Daily. We got another special episode coming your way. It is an interview. We have Trevor Sikkema joining us from PFF. He is the PFF NFL lead draft analyst. We're going to be talking about all those rankings that came up from PFF yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs as they head into the 2024 season, and those draft picks, how he thinks that they're going to play out this coming season. But first, make sure you like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel, and we will dive into it. All right, Trevor, we got to talk about all the PFF rankings that have been coming out the last couple of days. We were talking about it on the show yesterday. Break down to me, PFF, how you guys rate this, how you guys find that Mahomes really does deserve to be there, not just because of all the hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different categories with quarterbacks, and I think the best way to talk about quarterbacks in the NFL is always through tiers, not necessarily through numerical rankings. But even with that being the case, Mahomes, I put in a tier of his own. Now, I did this exercise last year as well, and I had Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes kind of in that first tier. And it was basically like, yeah, Mahomes has had more overall success. He's got more wins. He has a Super Bowl, but like, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes can go at it, and it's a coin flip of who's going to win the game. Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes is the same thing. Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, it's the same thing. So those three guys were in the first tier to me, and for being honest, I mean, of course, that's still the case this year. If these guys are fully healthy, it's always going to be a great matchup. But out of respect for the level of success that Patrick Mahomes has had, albeit in his system with, okay, sure, he has Travis Kelce, sure, he has Andy Reid, but Mahomes is still making so much magic happen. It's not like other situations where you go, yeah, sure, like for Brock Purdy, right? People talk about Brock Purdy and they look at him in this extremely quarterback-friendly system with all these weapons to throw to, and Kyle Shanahan's the play caller and all that, and some people use that as a little bit of a detractor from Brock Purdy individually in that offense. You can't really do that with Mahomes. Like, Mahomes is truly the centerpiece in which all of the other complementary pieces are built around. So, look, statistically, last year wasn't his best year, but the fact that they were able to win the Super Bowl, best so many phenomenal teams with a roster that in no way, shape, or form was it weak, but like, especially the passing game, right? The passing options that he had to throw to, less ideal than it has been in the past. And a lot of those wide receivers, even the good ones that were there outside of Travis Kelce, kind of letting him down outside of Rashee Rice for too many times throughout the season. So to just think about the success level that he was still able to have with that, he's in a tier of his own at this point with the level of success he's been able to have.
We saw PFF ranking Trent McDuffie going into his third season here, now as the number 2 corner in the entire league. Walk me through why Trent McDuffie has done so well and what stands out about his game to you guys.
He's so smart. And I remember as an NFL draft guy, even evaluating him when he was coming out of Washington, there were, sure, other guys in his class that were a little bit more athletic, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit faster, but he just had the blend of all of it. Like, he felt like he was a jack of all trades, and that's what gave me a lot of faith for him, where I looked at some other quarterbacks in corners in his class, and I was like, okay, well, McDuffie might not be the one that hits the ground running right away and is the best immediately. But if you told me that McDuffie's all-pro caliber in year 2, year 3, year 4 of that rookie contract, I'd have said that that's absolutely within the realm of possibility. And now I think he's at that level, right? The only reason why the Chiefs would have entertained moving on from L'Jarius Sneed, who is a really good corner, right in the middle of them going for a 3P, is because you have that much faith in McDuffie, who is somebody who has shown that he can play in the slot. He's shown that he can play on the outside. That versatility is there for him, and it just comes down to, again, that football IQ. He's got the floor of athleticism that you need to play the cornerback position in multiple different alignments, but he's also so smart in how he approaches it. Understands leverages, understands different coverage schemes, knows how to bait quarterbacks at this point. He's gone up against a lot of different wide receivers, so that NFL speed, that NFL strength, it's not surprising him anymore. And because of that, you saw a really strong coverage grade from him last year in our system. So I think ultimately, that's why it's I didn't write the cornerback article, but if I was, I would have put McDuffie somewhere in the top 10. I just wonder where he was going to end up. But for him to be number 2, it's kind of looking at, we saw where McDuffie was as a rookie. We saw what he was last year. And it's almost this projection of like, man, now that he is their CB1, now that the spotlight is maybe a little bit more on him, it's only going to highlight really good play for him. So to me, I had the chance to sit down and interview McDuffie while he was going through the NFL draft process. And I remember coming away from that interview just thinking, dude, this guy gets it. I mean, he's such a great dude. He's such a smart dude. I mean, you ask him about his progression and now we got the certain spots, and like, it's just the way that he approaches this game and how he is so dedicated to be the best that he can be from a nutrition standpoint, from a film watching standpoint, from just like overall, like who he's watching, the mentors that he has, all this stuff. It screamed, this guy's going to make it in the league.
Now, we've gone through the fact that Kansas City, was ranked second. They fall just behind the San Francisco 49ers. We went through the strengths. We already talked about Patrick Mahomes. That was the strength listed there. Let's maybe talk about the weaknesses here. And I don't think anyone could deny the weaknesses here. The tackle, right? Offensive tackles were a weakness last season, and this season it's still kind of iffy of who's going to be taking over that left tackle position. Why was that such a hindering issue last season?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that they've got to improve kind of all the way around, right? You look at the guys who are on the depth chart, and I'm looking at it right now. It's Shawan Taylor, who has had success in this league. He just didn't have a really great year last year. Wanya Morris, who, okay, he's somebody that you weren't sure if he was going to be a starting NFL offensive tackle, but clearly the Chiefs kind of see that ability in him. He's going to go into camp thinking that he might be able to win one of those offensive tackle position jobs. You draft Kingsley Suamataia for a reason. You're hoping that you can get a lot out of him. He's a former 5-star, somebody who has a ton of athleticism, a lot of size, basically checks all the physical boxes that you would want from a starting offensive tackle. And then, Lucas Niang is in this conversation as well. It's just sort of a group of guys where it's like, hey, somebody's got to be able to step up here. And the reason why it's a weak link is because it's a little bit of an unknown. Like, you're not sure exactly what you're going to get out of Juwan Taylor, even though there have been good. You're hoping that he's your best offensive tackle, right? I mean, like, you bring him in for that reason, for him to be kind of that veteran presence there. So they've got to really hope that he's got a bounce back year and that he's going to play really well, because he needs to be their best offensive tackle. Because no matter what, left or right tackle or Suamataia, or whether it's Morris or whatever, like, somebody's going to be a full-time starter for the first time. And that's going to come with lessons to learn. And fortunately for them, the Chiefs' interior offensive line is one of the best in the NFL, with Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey and Joe Thuney. But even with that being the case, the defensive coordinators are going to look at whatever the weak link is there, this offensive line, and they're going to attack it really hard. Because if there's any area where you could try to best this Chiefs offense, they're going to be able to do that. So it's a weak point in that it's really an unknown. When I was scouting Suamataia, for example, like, I know a lot of people look at the physical profile of him and the potential, and they say, well, we'll just stick him out there. Like, he very clearly can survive at the NFL level. It's just like he's got to get games under his belt. It's true, that could end up working well for you. But when I watched him, when I was scouting him, there's still a lot that he needs to learn in terms of, like, maintaining blocks. Like, when he was at BYU specifically over the last 2 years, he's played right and left tackle, so he's got that versatility, which is good for their current situation. There were too many times when edge defenders would come at him and he'd shove these guys, and he'd try to just kind of like displace them more than really like getting his hands up and inside underneath the armpits, locking in on the shoulder pads in the jersey, and just not letting these guys go. And that's what you really need to do at the NFL level. You've got to be able to maintain blocks, because even if you shove these guys and maybe you get them off of their rush path for a little bit, they're too good, they're too fast, they can recover too well, there's too many good counters that they can go to. And so that's kind of like a specific area where, when you talk about weaknesses and unknowns, even for a rookie that you have a lot of promise in, you're going for a three-peat this year, right? You need consistency. You might not be playing the guy who's got the highest ceiling. You just need the guy who's going to be able to, week in and week out, not get Patrick Mahomes snapped in half or anything like that, right? So I think that is the true weakness of this team, is just the unknown of who's going to play at offensive tackle.
All right, guys, that does it for another episode of Chiefs News Daily. As always, make sure you join us on that LLC, the Loyal Listeners Club, a great place to chat, interact with other fans and myself, and always give us a like right here on the KCSN YouTube channel. If you're not subscribing, make sure you subscribe. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll be back on Friday.